play and call it work.
Hello there, Wargamers! Josh and Luka here from MiniWarGaming to talk to you about the new Space Wolf Codex supplement to the Space Marine Codex, which is the way they do things now. You know, back in the days gone by, since the very beginning, Space Wolves have had their own codex separate from Space Marines, but most Space Marines did.
I think, yeah, even the back. I'm trying to remember in the days of the supplements, like 3rd edition even. I won't get you off topic already, but yeah, I can't remember.
They've always kind of, like, this is essentially a codex on its own. It is labeled as a supplement, but it's got everything you'd want from a codex, and the bulk of the unit data sheets are in the Space Marine Codex instead of this codex itself, which is kind of a pain in the butt because you got to buy 2 books, but you get double the lore and double art. I gotta say, the art on this book is outstanding too. It's nice that they didn't just reuse old art. I think I'm a huge fan of the style. I specifically like the Terminator on the front. I don't know why, but I like that guy a lot. He's got a cool beard. And that's pretty much all I've got to say about that. So what we're gonna do in this review, it's a first impressions. Now, I already did an impression of the index that was released through a PDF available to everyone on Warhammer Community, and they did that for a lot of other chapters as well, just to kind of get you in line, like, okay, you play Space Wolves, this is how you play them now. For data sheets, we're going to skim over them quickly later on. They didn't change too much, but we gained a lot of other stuff in the form of Warlord Traits, Stratagems, Psychic Discipline, the Tempestus Discipline is back, the Sagas are back, all that good stuff now. I guess we're just going to get right into it, and we're going to start with the stratagems, because that's what's listed first in this book, and we have a couple of pages of stratagems, which is nice to see. You know, I was a little concerned with the index one, because I was curious what we're going to lose, and I was, you know, a little concerned with, oh crud, what's it called? I liked the character killing potential Space Wolves had, you know, the big heroic deeds the characters were able to accomplish. The problem was they were able to accomplish a little bit too much.
Yeah,
they were pulling a little bit too much out of their hats and kind of really oppressing the table being a Space Wolf character, which is fine. It is what it is. Things have got to go. I think stratagems should become more of a thing your army can do, not like the go-to thing your army uses to win games.
Right, you're talking about the concept of building lists that use stratagems instead of building a list based around what stratagems you're always going to be using.
100%, 100%. And that's the way the stratagems are going, and it's the same in this book. And, you know, with this review, if you want, we're doing a Death Watch one later. If you haven't checked that one out already, that one's going to have a lot more information, I think, just because we haven't already done an index review of Death Watch. Yep. So if you're curious on the data sheets and how they changed, if you want a more in-depth review, go look at some previous content. It is the Space Wolf Index review that was probably a month ago, something like that. That's where we go into a lot of the depth of the Space Wolves, the data sheets specifically. Now, for this one, we're going to start with stratagems. 2 pages of stratagems and into the Space Marine ones. I'll start with the first one. I'll let Josh take the next one after that, and we'll go back and forth, and we'll just talk about stratagems and kind of how we feel about them and all that. This is a 2 command point stratagem. It is Go for the Throat. This one is new. This one makes sense because it kind of falls in line with the other stratagems that the other chapters have in their supplements. Essentially, if you're in the Assault Doctrine and you roll a 6 to wound with a pistol or a melee weapons relevant in the Assault Doctrine, you get an additional AP on your weapon. You can only use this once per game, and it'll affect your entire army for 2 command points. So pretty much you're in the 3rd battle round, or you've somehow finagled it so that one of your units is in the Assault Doctrine. You can spend 2 command points for Go to the Throat and make that an even more devastating turn. So you're playing Space Wolves, it's battle round 3, you're in the Assault Doctrine, and like, you know what? You use it in your command phase if the Assault Doctrine has to be active for your entire army to use it. So scratch what I said earlier. You pop it for 2 command points, your whole army gets potentially more AP. I've seen other armies utilize something like this well. Imperial Fists in the Devastator Doctrine for additional AP, Ultramarines in the Tactical Doctrine for additional AP with all their bolt guns. This could be good too. Sure, Starter's Chainswords could be AP 3 on 6s to wound.
And I mean, yeah, solid overall.
It's pretty
2
good.
command points.
It's not bad. I would definitely use it from if I have the command points to spare come battle round 3, I would definitely use it. And by command points to spend, I mean maybe if I still have like 5 or 6, I'd probably pop that. Not in all cases though. If I'm fewer than that, there's more efficient things to rather use my stratagems on. The next one, all you.
Okay, so next up we have Cunning of the Wolf for 1 command point. Use this stratagem during deployment. Select one Space Wolves infantry unit from your army. All models in that unit gain the Outflank ability from Codex Space Marines.
Right, and that is, I'm just going to double check that because I meant to look at it earlier, but it is exactly what it sounds like. It's like a better strategic reserve, if I recall. Try to find it here.
It doesn't give you a page reference number.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. It's under data sheets probably. Data sheet rules, and it's called Outflank.
Outflank.
Where are you at here? It's probably here somewhere. Ah, there it is. Okay. During deployment, if every model in this unit has the ability, then you can set it up this unit behind enemy lines instead of setting it up on the battlefield. If you do, then in the reinforcement step of your movement phases, you can set this unit up wholly within 6 of the enemy. Within 6 of the battlefield edge, more than 9 inches away from enemy units. Now you might be thinking, well, how's that different from strategic reserves? If you spend command points on Cunning of the Wolf, you can show up on the second battle round in your opponent's deployment zone. Yep. Whereas for strategic reserves, you can never use your opponent's deployment edge, and on the second battle round, you cannot show up in their deployment zone. Now with Cunning of the Wolf, it is just a strictly better strategic reserve. And it's cheaper too. Because it doesn't matter how many or how much
it's
power.
Just one Space Wolves infantry unit.
No matter.
Doesn't matter power level.
That's true. But it is only specifically infantry, so you can't do it to dreadnoughts. You'd have to use strategic reserves for dreadnoughts. But Cunning of the Wolf works on infantry, so Wolfen and Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, if you really want. Terminators, sure, why not?
Whatever you want it to be.
Exactly, 100%. Like my mind immediately goes to Wolfen, but you could use it on any. Longfangs. Longfangs are a good one too.
Actually, yeah, just walking in. Yeah, that's kind of hilarious that they just walk into the enemy deployment zone with all their heavy weapons. Like, hey, what's up?
Right. It's like
I got a last cannon.
Another really good one is Eradicators too. Yes. So you want it on Longfangs with multi-meltas or Eradicators with their melta rifle. So because you'd put your Eradicators into strategic reserves to show up. Well, this is just a strictly better strategic reserve. So
right. So I mean, like it's one of those. Obviously, it'll work for close combat kind of units.
100%.
But I mean, like to me, that sounds extra juicy for some
100%.
Good shooting units.
1,000. I would 100% use that every time.
Especially Melta stuff.
Yeah. Well, especially with the new multi-meltas, you have your long fangs. You have 5 multi-meltas in a unit. That's 10 shots, and they do have. They did gain access to keen senses again, where they ignore all modifiers.
Nice.
So they move in, they ignore the -1 to hit, and then bam, 10 multi-melta shots right there.
Pretty handy. I like it.
Super good. I'm very happy to see that back. I was a little worried we were going to lose that. Happy it's back. The next one is the Emperor's Executioners. This is a narrative one against the Thousand Suns. You use it when a Space Wolf unit goes to fight. Any unit, doesn't have to be a core unit. Until the end of the phase, you get to reroll hit rolls and wound rolls against Thousand Suns. That was in the book before. They kept it narratively. I'm okay with that. It was kind of cool before. It almost never came up. It's one of those super win, like, you're fighting Thousand Suns. Good to beat the crap out of some nerds.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Awesome to have.
Fun little narrative one. Next up, we have Savage Strike. It's either 1 command point or 2.
This is really good.
Use the stratagem in your fight phase. When a Space Wolves unit from your army is selected to fight, if a unit made a charge move this turn, then until that fight is resolved, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the attack's wound roll.
Yeah.
If it's 5 or fewer models, costs 1 command point, otherwise it's 2.
Right. So that's any Space Wolf unit. That's Dreadnoughts, that's Thunderwolf Cavalry, Wolfen, vehicles if you wanted it to be, characters too. Importantly, it's characters as well. So this kind of helps relieve the loss of Seeking a Saga for characters where they get to reroll wound rolls. Now you can just be +1 to wound on a character. And that's only 1 command point for a character. If it's a big squad of like 10 Blood Claws, it'll cost 2 command points. You'd probably want to keep this to Dreadnoughts not Dreadnoughts. They're probably already wounding on 2s, but Thunderwolf Cavalry.
Depends what you're swinging against, I guess.
It's true, 100%. But like a squad of 5 Thunderwolf Cavalry at +1 to wound, that is a lot of attacks when paired up with other stratagems. And good stuff like that. So I am a big fan of Savage Strike. It only works on the turn you charge, though. So there's also that. But typically, Space Wolves kill whatever they're fighting on the turn they charge, which is also nice. Wait, do they have to charge? They have to charge for it. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, using the fight phase, and if the unit made a charge.
So it's not like when they get charged. It's they have to be the ones charging, which is fine. That's typically pretty easy for Space Wolves. The next one is Healing Bombs. This is the one that everyone kind of predicted was going to become a stratagem. It's not a good one. So they took the ability away from your Wolf Priest, which is now in the Space Marine Codex, because everyone noticed, like, okay, well, if it's a Space Wolf, it gets a Space Wolf Priest keyword. and it doesn't heal wounds anymore. Stuff like that. Anyways, you use the stratagem at the end of your movement phase. You select an infantry, biker, or cavalry model from your army within 3 inches of the wolf priest, and they just regain D3 lost wounds. For 1 command point, it doesn't scream at me, but everyone expected it to go there. So it was a free ability, now move to a stratagem. And that happens, whatever, it's fine.
Okay. Next up, we got Pack Hunters for 2 command points. Use the stratagem in your charge phase. Select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of any Space Wolves unit from your army. Until the end of the turn, each time a friendly Space Wolves beast or Space Wolves cavalry unit declares a charge that targets the selected unit, roll 1 additional d6 and discard 1 of the dice.
Right.
Until the end of the turn, each time a friendly Space Wolves cavalry model makes an attack with its crushing teeth and claws against the selected unit, and each time a friendly Space Wolves beast model makes an attack with its teeth and claws against the selected unit, you can reroll the wound roll.
Yeah, so it's you can roll 3d6 with Thunderwolf cavalry or Federation Wolves or Cyber Wolves, and then you get to reroll wound rolls on the actual beasts themselves when in combat, which is for 2 command points. I kind of like the idea of the 3d6 charge on Thunderwolf Cavalry, which I think is kind of a mainstay for the Space Wolves at the moment, kind of taking over the role of the Wolfen in what they do. It's okay. At 2 command points, a little costly, but maybe you'll need that clutch 3d6 charge.
Well, yeah, because especially you already have to have made a charge, right?
Right, yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. Thematic, 2 command points.
So I shouldn't say 3d6 charge because you do have to discard 1 of the dice. But it's 3d6 taking the 2 highest. So it's still, you have to be within legal charge distance and all that good stuff. But you're more likely to make that 10 or 11 inch charge when you really need it. And, Thunderwolf Cavalry can advance and charge. So that's pretty good. But you already have to be in combat with something else. So it's kind of like one of those, we got some important fight over here and the Thunderwolf Cavalry already cleaned up something way over here. It's like, I can't make it there. So I'll advance, maybe get lucky on the advance, and then throw 3d6 and probably get in there, ideally. The next one we have is Relentless Assault, the last battle tactic stratagem. Used in the fight phase when any Space Wolf unit from your army consolidates. Each model in that unit can move up to an additional 3 inches when they consolidate. This is new. This does not stack with any other rules that would increase the distance they compile in or consolidate, such as Ragnar, the new Primaris Ragnar's rule. Right. So you either get this or you get that. That's super good. You can tie things up further. That's a pretty gotcha moment, a pretty big gotcha moment for a lot of enemies. They specifically line their screens up so that when you crush it, you can't consolidate into their back lines. Well, with this, you still can. You'll be able to get past. They'll have to keep those screens an extra, 3 inches even further up.
Anything that really kind of dictates what your opponent does for movement on the
Typically
board.
Good.
It's great for just being there as a threat, even if you don't get to use it all the time. The fact that you can threaten to use it,
exactly,
if they do certain things.
Yeah, the threat that it exists is often more powerful than its actual use in a lot of cases, especially with the countercharge stratagem.
That's cool. I really like that one.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Cloaked by the Storm. This is the first of the Epic Deed stratagems. 2 command points. Use it in your psychic phase after resolving the effects of a psychic power from the Tempestas discipline.
Yeah.
Manifested by a Space Wolf Psyker model from your army. Until the start of your next psychic phase, each time a range attack is made against a friendly Space Wolves unit within 6 of that Psyker, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll.
Yeah, he's the mobile, dense piece of terrain for 2 command points. He has to successfully cast a power. And that doesn't include Smite. He has to actually use powers from his discipline.
Yes, this one where, it's cool, but again, I like the theme with a lot of these strats. Like, you're not going to build around that.
No, not away,
You're
but
not gonna count on that.
But it'd be nice to be able to use. I'm pretty sure that cost 3 command points before. I'm pretty sure.
It was 3 command points before, right?
I think so. Oh man, I probably should have had the old book, but it's a little bit better if that's the case. It's nice to have. The next one is Deed Worthy of a Saga. This is 2 command points. You use it in any phase when any Space Wolf character model from your army that does not have a Warlord trait would otherwise meet the requirement for one of your deeds. At the end of the phase, until the end of the battle, that model gains the Saga ability associated with that deed. He won't gain the Warlord trait, but you'll still have the aura that would help the rest of your Space Wolves around it. It's one of those, so typically the way Space Wolf Warlord traits work, the deeds are back, the sagas are back. You pick a Warlord trait for your Warlord, or take one for a named character if you have to, the specific one. And then you do the prerequisite for it throughout the game, and then you unlock a specific aura associated with that Warlord trait for the game. Now with this stratagem, you can just kind of do cool stuff with your character, and if he so happens to unlock or do one of the sagas through whatever means, then you can be like, oh, I actually want that aura active for this game, so I'm going to spend 2 command points on that. I mean, I can't immediately think of what that would be really good for. There's things. There's one like I think it's Saga the Hunter where it's a 6-inch aura of rerolling, or you can advance and charge.
Yeah.
Now certain things can already advance and charge, but for like Blood Claws or Wolfen, who can't do that anymore, that'd be really good for them.
It's kind of handy. Yeah, see, I don't know the Space Wolf stuff very well. I'm just kind of here to make sure we don't go too badly over time. And
Yeah, he's 100% my.
your handler.
Yeah, he's my handler for this one, so we're trying not to take too long on this one.
So what's the Saga of the Bear again? I know it's you got to take a wound to.
That one got changed. I think before Saga of the Bear, you had to make a saving throw, and that was it. But now you have to suffer a wound, and then at the end of the phase you unlock it, and then it's a 6-inch aura of Space Wolf units within 6 inches ignore wounds and mortal wounds on a 6+.
That's kind of funny. I can see this kind of being a thing.
Right. So yeah. So you could have your whatever battle leader walk forward. Oh, I got hit by a bolt gun. I'm Saga the Bear. Now everything around me has a 6 to ignore damage for 2 command points.
Something blows up near him when he takes a mortal wound off
of exactly.
explosion. He's like, not everybody.
Saga the Bear. Oh, and when we get to the sagas, they are quite different in how they work, and they're just reworked a little bit. Not crazy different.
Okay, so this one, again, I'm not really up on the lore of the Space Wolves.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
4th edition, maybe? I think it passed like 3rd edition. So, use the stratagem after nominating a model drawn from a Space Wolf successor chapter to be your Warlord. You can give 1 Relic of the Fang to a character model from your army that is drawn from a Space Wolf successor chapter instead of giving them a special issue Wargear relic or a chapter relic from Codex Space Marines. If you do, replace the Space Wolves keyword in all instances of the relic, if any, with that model successor chapter keyword. You can use the stratagem once.
Yeah. Okay. So this comes down to like Space Wolf successors. I heard stories of one. I think Josh was mentioning it earlier, where I know Josh was mentioning it earlier, where it didn't go down so well.
I think there was one that kind of was a thing. Like, and again, I'm not sure. I think it was
not very knowledgeable.
The Wolf Brothers or something like that. Right. I think we're the only ones that they actually got to chapter level. But then something terrible happened, and I think they all went renegade. I don't know that well.
I don't know much about Space Wolf successor chapters. The reason I would suspect this is mostly in here to fall in line with the other supplements.
100%, that's all it is, yeah.
Yeah, the other supplements have the very same thing, where your successor chapter can't actually take relics from the main first founding chapter unless it's bestowed upon the successor by the main one, and to do so you spend a command point to do it. Thus, a trophy bestowed. Because these successor chapters don't have their own relics. They just have special issue war gear. Because that's why they're lame. We got Thane of the Retinue. This is kind of the same idea. This falls in line with other supplements where you can give unit sergeants, in this case pack leaders, a special issue war gear like mastercrafted weapons, or in the case of Space Wolves, frost weapons, which I would like to go into great detail about. They are quite good. Which is a good thing. So, I mean, it'll get costly if you want to put frost weapons on all of your pack leaders, but, costly in the form of command points. Use the stratagem before the battle when you're mustering your army. If your Warlord is a Space Wolf, select 1 Space Wolves model from your army that has the word Sergeant or Pack Leader in their profile. That model can have one of the following special issue Wargear relics. On page, so pretty much anything on page 51, which is your special issue war gear, even though they are not a character, they can have mastercrafted weapon, digital weapon, a frost weapon, Morkai teeth bolts, and that's it. They can't have like adamant. Apparently they can't have artificer armor or adamantium mantle. So each relic in your army must be unique, and you cannot use the stratagem to give a model 2 relics. You can only use the stratagem. Okay, never mind. You can only do it once. There you go.
Yeah.
So you can only have 1 guy. So before, I'm pretty sure in the other ones you could do it as much as you wanted. Unless I'm misremembering that. But I played a game as Ultramarines, and I thought it was really cool to have all my sergeants with artificer armor. I 2-up, 5-up. It worked a little. It wasn't worth it, but it was kind of cool that I could do it.
It was kind of neat to do.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the Horus Heresy. I'm like, of course I'm going to spend 10 points to get my sergeant's artificer armor. I really like doing that.
So next up, we got Warrior Legend 1 command point. This is your... Oh, sorry. I don't know, because... I will say, I mean, it's going to be pretty clear, obviously. I haven't played Space Marines since 8th edition. Yeah, and even then, I don't think I ever played actual Space Marines. I think I only played my Deathwatch.
Right, so Josh only dabbles in Deathwatch when it comes to power armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 40k setting.
In 40k, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's not 100% true. On the loyal side. But yeah, so this one command point. After nominating a Space Wolves character that is not named to be your Warlord, you can generate 1 additional Warlord trait. It's got to be from the Space Wolves Warlord Traits table on page 48. Each Warlord trait in your army must be unique. And that model has access to each saga associated with their Warlord traits.
Right. So
you can only use it once.
Yeah. You can have your Warlord with 2 different Warlord traits. There are a few that pair really well, and you can unlock both of their sagas individually and have 2 different auras affecting all your space. Like you could be some crazy wild legendary hero that is unnamed for the Space Wolves, which is crazy because there's like 30 of them. So, the Milky Way is a big place. So yeah, there's room for a lot of this kind of stuff. I think it's pretty good. Well, I'll go over what I think are a couple good pairings of Warlord traits. It's all up to preference in the end. Bestial Nature is the first strategic ploy stratagem. Use it in your command phase if the combat doctrine is active. Sorry, if any combat doctrine is active for your army. So if you're, all Space Wolves, you get combat doctrines. You select any infantry, cavalry, or biker unit, that has to be Space Wolves, until the start of your next combat phase, they get to be in the assault doctrine instead of the active doctrine. Which is cool, sure, yeah. It's turn 1 or turn 2, and you're about to get into combat, and they have no business being in any of the other doctrines, so you spend 1 command point, and all that pretty much says is every 6 to hit is an additional hit, and they get extra AP. That's probably worth a command point every time, depending on what it is, right? Say you're getting the Wolfen already count as being in the assault doctrine always. So Thunderwolf, if Thunderwolf cavalry get into combat early, I would do Bestial Nature on them, 100%.
See, that kind of stuff, it's cool being able to mess around this, but in my mind, like true proper Space Marines should just be able to pick what combat doctrine they're in.
Indeed.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Yeah.
Countercharge. 1 command point or 0 command points.
This got reworked nicely.
Use this stratagem in your opponent's charge phase. Select 1 Space Wolves unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, that unit is eligible to perform a heroic intervention if it is within 6 horizontally of an enemy unit, and when performing a heroic intervention with that unit, you can move each model in that unit up to 6 inches. All of the rules for heroic intervention still apply. 0 command points if the Space Wolves unit you select is a character.
This is good because which was pretty good for the old chapter 1, is you got +1 to hit for Hunters Unleashed in the first round of combat, and your characters got to heroically intervene 6 inches. Then what Countercharge used to be is you would pick one of your units and they got to heroically intervene 6 inches. Now what Hunters Unleashed is every unit in your army gets to heroically intervene following the normal rules, and now you can spend a command point to make any unit do it 6 inches, or any character for 0 command points do it 6 inches. So I love the addition of this. I'm pretty sure that was in the supplement, and it was just the 1 command point for any unit, and then they just added the /0 for characters. But I will note that it doesn't work for anything vertical. It only works for 6 inch horizontal, which might be a big deal in some cases. The next stratagem is Keen Senses. This works exactly the same way it did before, but with some clarifications. So it's 1 command point, any infantry, biker, or it used to be Space Wolf unit before. Now it's only infantry, biker, or cavalry, which is fine. So it doesn't work on dreadnoughts and stuff like that. But until the end of the turn, you can ignore any or all hit rolls, in addition to ballistic skill and weapon skill modifiers. So if there's any weird niche rules out there that augmented your ballistic skill, so the Calexis Assassin, for example, he makes it so anything that shoots at him is ballistic skill 6+. Now with Keen Senses, you ignore that. So you just hit him normally on 3s or 2s, whatever it is you're attacking him with. That is a nice addition because before it was only hit roll modifiers. Now it is any modifiers to your actual characteristics in addition to your hit roll modifiers. And in addition to this, you can reroll charge rolls. Ignore modifiers on your charge rolls, which is difficult terrain. The first thing I can think of. I'm sure there's some army ones too, maybe for.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned, because I'm sure there's ways to get bonuses. It is you can ignore any or all modifiers.
Right.
So if you got positives and you pop this, you still get your positives.
That's true. That's how it was before as well. You always got to keep your positives. It actually, I'm pretty sure it said you ignored only negative. But this is just much clearer writing, and there's no room for questioning there. It just makes sense. I like everything about it. It was great before. I used it all the time. Even better now.
Handy dandy.
Yeah.
Last one here is Runic Wards. This is the one and only Wargear stratagem. Use the stratagem in your opponent's psychic phase after a psychic test is passed for an enemy psyker unit. Select 1 Space Wolves unit from your army within 12 of that psyker unit. The unit you selected can attempt to deny that psychic power by taking a Deny the Witch test, as if it were a psyker.
Right, so this is nice in the case of, you have one guy left and he's going to get hit by a smite and die, or he might die. And, he rolls like a 5 on it or whatever. He's like, okay, I'll spend a command point to probably, there's a good chance I'll actually deny that and keep my guy around. I like that. That's obviously new for Space Wolves. Runic boards, it makes sense for Space Wolves. They never, in 8th edition, they didn't really represent their aversion to warp powers that much, right? They hate them, Maleficarum, all that stuff. They can't stand that kind of stuff. So, they have their own rune priests, but, it's through the weird and through the powers of Fenris and whatnot, and runic wards and talismans and space magic.
do they still hate teleporting? Is that a thing? Did they get rid of that like 15 years ago when Josh just never paid attention?
I don't. There's not too much I know, but there's.
I think way back in the day they weren't allowed to teleport.
Right. I vaguely remember something like this too. I didn't know too much about Space Wolves back then, but I remember they didn't trust it too much.
So I guess the answer to my question is that went away.
Right. Or it's at least not represented that much.
That's fair.
And that's pretty much it for that is it for all the new stratagems. I think we got some winners here. I'm a huge fan of them. And again, across the board, none of these are like, I'll use that literally every turn. I might use that if I have an abundance of command points, or I'll use that in this situation. Like Bestial Nature, 4 Thunderwolf Cavalry in the first or second battle round, yeah, I'll use that in the first or second battle round, but I'm not going to be using that every turn, right? It's not one of those like, oh, of course you're using that, or of course you're using that. I'm happy to see a lot of the stratagems that were like, ugh, of course, right? Like, you guys know what I mean? You know what I mean, right?
Yep.
Extermination protocols for 1 command point.
Yep, I know.
100%
no,
that.
It's immediately what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's the one I immediately go to.
I started to grumble unintentionally.
Right. Oh, there's things like Vect and for Drukhari and stuff like that too. Now, see, like, because of stuff like this, stratagems like that are inherently a little bit worse because there's not like those game-winning stratagems.
Thing that you need, yeah.
Right. Like, sure, rotated ion shields is really good, but I mean, it's just, it might not, like, it could do nothing, right? Sure. Now, there are some stratagems out there that were just straight up busted. Yeah, happy to see them gone. So, like, Honor the Chapter and dumb stuff like that. That's got to go. The last thing I want to touch up on the stratagems before we move on to whatever the next part is, which would be Warlord Traits and the sagas and all that, is honorable mentions from Saga of the Beast, Psychic Awakening, and, this Index Astartes Space Wolves document that I had printed out and used once. I had planned on using it more, but the Necrons came out, and then they announced, the Space Wolf book is going to be one of the first books coming out. I'm like, well, okay, well, I can't just make Space Wolf games and have them be invalidated by new releases, right? So I guess I'm putting these guys on the back burner until this comes out. Now, luckily, it wasn't that long of a wait, but under the document, and I'm pretty sure under all the other Index Astartes documents, it says, once the supplement comes out, it supersedes this document, and then this entire document cannot be used. Nothing in here is legal to use in Space Wolf games once you get your hands on, once this is officially released. Doesn't matter when you get your hands on it, you have to use the rules in this. And that means some of my favorite stratagems are out of here. One of them being Touch of the Wild. So that's the one where every unmodified 4+ to hit for a Space Wolf character generates an additional hit, which would work well with Savage Fury. That is gone. That is out of here. Countercharge, we keep that in a better form, so I'm happy with that. Crushing Assault was, I thought that was pretty good. That's where you roll a d6 for every Thunderwolf Cavalry that makes the charge, and say you get 4 of them in, you roll 4d6 every 2 ups on Mortal Wound. That's gone. I kind of like that one. Didn't use it a lot, but I liked it. Knowledge of the Foe for 0 command points, gone. That's
sad.
one. Yeah. That's one where if you kill an enemy character with a Space Wolf unit in the fight phase, you get a command point. And then because it's a stratagem, you could do that more than once per battle round. Obviously the stratagem is only once per phase, but if I kill it on my combat phase, I get a command point. Then if I kill one of your characters on your turn, I can get another one in the same battle round. And then we got Pack Hunters gone. Didn't really care about, actually no, Pack Hunters is not gone. That is just reworked into a better form in the supplement. Death Grip Bite is gone, which changes the damage characteristic of your Wolves attacks to 2 from 1 on the Thunderwolf. And lastly, Vicious Executioners is gone. I kind of really like this one. It's 1 command point, and your veterans, your Wolf Guard, anytime they roll a 6 to wound in the fight phase, was a mortal wound in addition to its normal damage. Thunderwolf Cavalry, or Wolf Guard, that means they had 2 attacks each, plus 1 on the charge, and then their Thunderwolves had 3 attacks each as well. So every model had 6 attacks, so every one model you had was doing a mortal wound in addition to its normal damage on average. That one's gone as well. So I'm a sad boy to see those gone, but I understand change is good, and I am always an advocate for change, even just for the sake of change. So I will not complain any more than that.
Alrighty here, so we're going to move over to the Warlord Traits, which are completely alien to me. So what I'm going to do is read them out to Luka, and he's going to say if they've changed or not.
Okay, sure.
Ready there, buddy?
I am, yeah.
So we'll start off with Beast Slayer, which is the one just from the Space Marine Codex?
Yep, so that's the one that you had to play as for Space Wolves in the last, month.
Yeah. So while this Warlord is within engagement range of any enemy monster vehicle units, add 1 to the attack characteristic.
Sure, cool. +1 attack, good.
Each time this Warlord makes an attack against a monster vehicle, add 1 to the attack's hit and wound rolls.
Yep, that awesome Warlord trait, very good. +1 wound vehicles and monsters and +1 attack. Big fan of that. That is exactly the same as it was out of the Space Marine book. There's no real reason for that to change. Now,
jumping over to the Saga side
yes.
of things. So D to the Beast Slayer, an enemy monster vehicle unit is destroyed as the result of an attack made by this model. And then Saga of the Beast Slayer, the Aura, is while a friendly Space Wolves core unit is within 6 of this model, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack against a monster vehicle, add 1 to the attack's wound roll.
Right. So you don't get both the benefits of the Warlord trait, so you don't get the extra attack, you just get the +1 wound parts. That's where the Sagas veer from the Warlord traits, because before you would get the exact same wording as the Warlord trait, but in a 6-inch aura instead. And it would obviously affect all of your Space Wolf units, not just core stuff. But love to see the Sagas back. I thought they were very cool rules for Space Wolves. Very happy they decided to stick with them and then just change them up a little bit. All the Warlord traits are the same, but not the same. They're same names, but they do things slightly differently. Like Saga the Wolfkin. What it used to do was give everyone an extra attack, or give him an extra attack, and then the aura would give everyone an extra attack. Now what it does is, for the purposes of its Shock Assault ability, this Warlord is always treated as having made a charge move, so he always gets Shock Assault, and he gets D3 additional attacks instead of 1 for that ability. And then the Saga of the Wolfkin is he has to destroy an enemy model. That is it. He only has to kill an enemy model. And then while you're within...
It's in melee specifically.
In melee specifically. Yeah, Josh is right. The unit always... And then for your core units within 6, they always count as having charge for the purpose of Shock Assault. So it's kind of the same, but not the same, you know? Saga the Wolfkin used to give an extra attack to everyone in the first round of combat. Now they're always treated as being in the first round of combat, so it's pretty samey. So I still like it a lot. I'm a big fan of Saga the Wolfkin. In fact, it's even better because it's D3 attacks instead of 1 attack, which is what it used to be.
Right. Jumping over to the third one, Warrior Born. At the start of the fight phase, if this Warlord is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first that phase.
Same as it was before.
And so for the deed, enemy character model is destroyed as the result of a melee attack made by this model. Turns on the Aura. At the start of the fight phase, each friendly Space Wolves core unit that is within 6 of this model and within engagement range of any enemy units fights first that phase.
Right, so this is a pretty basic one. It's only got the 1 ability, so it makes sense that the Aura is identical to it. I've used all of these, and I've had good luck with all of them. I like them all for their own... You know what? A big fan of the Space Wolf Warlord traits. I think they're all good for their own reasons. So I've had good luck with all of them. The next one is Hunter. This is the one that lets you advance and charge. But now, in addition to that, it gives you +1 to your advance and charge rolls as well. I thought it was good before, got way better. So +1 to advance and charge rolls, and you're allowed to advance and charge. Now, if say your Wolf Lord is on a Thunder Wolf, he already has the capability of advancing and charging, so it's not as effective on him, but +1 to that, always good. And then to unlock it, you just have to charge an enemy unit, which is how it was before. And then the Aura effect is you're able to declare a charge in which in a turn they fell back, or if they advanced. So core unit within 6 is able to declare a charge in which they advanced, and a core unit with the Swift Hunter's ability, which is the ability that allows something to advance and charge. So if they can already advance and charge, they can instead fall back and still charge. Pretty good. That's very good. That's a lot of mobility. I love all of these. I love Bear for different reasons than the other ones, but but I love all of these Warlord traits.
Okay, going over to the Aura of Majesty. You're going to add 3 to the range of the Warlord's Rites of Battle, Tactical Precision, Chapter Master, and Spiritual Leader's abilities to a maximum of 9 inches.
Right.
And then you're going to add 3 to the range of any litanies recited by this Warlord to a maximum of 9. The deed, at the start of your command phase, this model is within range of an objective marker that is more than 6 inches away from your deployment zone.
It's kind of a weird one, but it's not hard to accomplish.
Yeah, so you can't sit back and do it.
Right.
And then the aura that it unlocks, while a friendly Space Wolves core unit is within 6 of this model, each time a morale test is taken for that unit, it is automatically passed.
It's very good considering They Shall Know No Fear got hit a little bit.
Yeah.
So morale for Space Marines is a little more important. Being able to automatically pass that's quite nice. The last one is Resolve of the Bear. Used to be Saga of the Bear. It pretty much works the same thing. Anytime you would lose a wound, you roll a d6. On a 6, that wound is instead not lost. And each time an attack is made against his Warlord, this is new, your opponent cannot reroll the wound roll, nor can they reroll the damage roll.
That's cool.
It's kind of cool. He's just a tough boy, you know? That's it. Mm-hmm. And then to unlock his Saga, what it used to be before is you'd have to pass the saving throw, if I recall. Now it's if you suffer a wound, if you do lose any wounds, you unlock an aura for all Space Wolf core units where every time they would lose a wound, instead on a 6, they do not. They don't get to keep the effect where you can't reroll wound rolls against them or damage rolls, but they do get a 6 up to ignore those wounds that would be lost. That one's super easy to accomplish. You just got to go, well, I mean, maybe not, because losing exactly one wound to make it the most efficient way is not always possible.
I was going to say, like, maybe it's not that easy.
Yeah, now that I thought about it a little bit. You know, maybe you... I know. That was actually surprisingly hard to pull
You unlock
off.
and he just dies.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's probably actually just going to die. I mean, Thunderwolf have 7 wounds. They're toughness 5, maybe a little bit more durable, but... I mean, those are your 6 Warlord traits. They're the same names as they were before, but I'm slightly better. There's some of them just got straight up better. None of them got worse. Resolve of the Bear is way better. Harder to pull off, though. There's certainly that, but I still love it regardless. And then if you're curious on some of the named characters and their Warlord traits, we have Aryak Rockfist. He has Resolve of the Bear. He had that before. Bjorn is Aura of Majesty. Kenneth Wolfborn is Wolfkin. Harald Deathwolf is Hunter. Crom Dragon Gaze is Warriorborn. Logan Grimnar is Aura of Majesty. Same on Stormrider. And Resolve of the Bear on Njal Stormcaller. Ragnar Blackmane is Warriorborn, and Uruk the Slayer is also Aura of Majesty. I know that was a lot because they have 10 named characters, right? Was that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 9 Logan's listed twice because he has 2 different data sheets. Right. Then that's it for the Warlord traits. I'm just overall happy that they're back. We're going to jump on to Relics and Special Issue Wargear.
So you got a full page of relics here.
Yep.
And first one, we get the Armor of Rust. Because, yeah, there's nothing special in the text above that.
No, it's the standard. Yeah, you pay the
copy
points
paste.
for anything it replaces if you need to and all that good stuff.
So, Armor of Rust. The bearer has a save characteristic of 2-up and a 4-up invulnerable save.
That's awesome on a librarian, or sorry, not a librarian, but a rune priest.
Right. At the start of the fight phase, you can select one any unit with engagement range of the bear. Unit is not eligible to fight this phase until after all eligible units from your army have done so.
This works exactly the same. It's just it's in 2 bullet points, so it's a little bit cleaner instead of it being kind of cumbersome paragraph, which is what it was before. I've always liked the Armor of Rust. I've had good luck with it. You could put that on any character you wanted to, but most Wolflords already have a 4-up and vulnerable save. And if you take Storm Shields, they go to a save of 2-up. But if you take this and a Storm Shield, now you can have a 1-up save.
So that's kind of cool, but I mean, like, I guess you're aiming more towards the fight last.
Yeah, the fight last is the major part of that one, for sure. Very good ability there. The Wolfenstone is back. I was a little concerned here because, again, that I got the document I printed out for the PDF over there for the index. It was gone. I'm like, ooh, I really like the Wolfenstone. But they reworked it, so it's very different. So the bearer has the following ability. It's Bestial Charge. It's a 6-inch aura for core units where you can reroll charge rolls made for that unit. That's almost identical to the Wolfen Curse of the Wolfen Hunt, except the Curse of the Wolfen Hunt has a 12-inch aura for Blood Claws instead, 6 inches for everything else. That's not a Blood Claw. But the second part of it is once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, the bearer can evoke the spirits of the Wolfen. If it does, select a friendly Space Wolf unit, doesn't have to be core, within 6 inches of the bearer, that has the Savage Fury ability. And until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, the additional hit score as a result of Savage Fury is unmodified hit roll 5+ instead of 6+. What this used to be is just +1 attack for Space Wolves nearby. So you would put this on a Wolf Lord that had Saga of the Wolfkin. You'd give him an extra 2 attacks with like a Thunder Hammer. The whole idea was put him on a Thunder Wolf, run him forward. He's got Storm Shield, Thunder Hammer, and then smash. He's got like 6 attacks or more. Or I guess he'd have 7 attacks on the charge with Shock Assault and all that. Now it's it's different. I think I would shy away from the Wolfenstone. It's not my favorite anymore. It doesn't quite do what I need it to do. Though it could be big. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not using a big enough imagination. Like a squad of 20 Blood Claws, sure, that'd be really good on them. Wow, yeah, it's actually a lot. You know what? A squad of 20 Blood Claws is like 40 wounds now that I think about it.
Yeah.
42 of them, 43 of save. That's kind of funny. Anyways, the next one, all you.
You get the Fire Heart. So this is a plasma pistol.
Yeah.
So Relic plasma pistol, 18-inch range.
Yep.
Cool. Pistol 1 still. But it's strength 9, AP -4, 3 damage. No capability to overcharge in any way.
No downside. It's always 3 damage, AP4, AP5 in the Assault Doctrine if you want. I mean, that's pretty good. No 2-up armor saves allowed. It's brand new. It's 18-inch range. I kind of like it. I would take it. Sure, whatever. Maybe but there's
Kind of neat.
There's other things I'd rather take, but if I took the Fireheart, I wouldn't feel bad about taking Fireheart in any way, shape, or form. The next one is Black Death. This is the Mastercrafted Power Axe or Power Axe upgrade. This one's been floating around forever. But it's kind of weird. It's strength +2, -2, 1 damage. But every time the bearer fights, it makes an additional D6 attacks. I don't like that. It's only 1 damage. It's a random amount of attacks. If it was like D3 +3, I'd like that a lot more. But I'm not sold. I'd rather.
You're not sold on that? You don't like that as a relic?
I'm not sold on Black Death. No, you can do way cooler things with special issue Wargear. We'll talk about in a moment.
Okay. So next up, we got the Mountain Breaker Helm.
I love this one.
After making close combat attacks with the bearer before they consolidate, you can select one enemy unit within 1 inch of the bearer and roll 1d6. On a 2-up, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
It's a ram helmet. He's got like ram horns on. He's like, "Brr, brr." I'm an angry goat. Bang.
He just headbutts stuff.
He just headbutts. He literally he fights. He turns to look at someone else and headbutts them. It's kind of funny. I've had great fun with that. Like, it's never won me any games. It's never done anything huge for me, but I've always had a good chuckle. Like, yeah, I'm gonna hit you with my ram helmet. Bam. I headbutt you. Bam. Yeah, you die. Or, you know,
that's cool.
I like it. It's always been fun. That one's old though. We got that in Psychic Awakening. Storm's Eye is new. Librarian model only. Once per turn in your psychic phase, after resolving the effects of a psychic power from the Tempestus discipline specifically, that was successfully manifested by the bearer, roll a d6 for each enemy unit within 12 on a 4 if they take a mortal wound. That's kind of cool. That could be good. It kind of goes in line with their weird. There's another stratagem that does. They have a power as like living lightning, and you do D3 mortal wounds to a unit. Then that has a chance to arc off and do mortal wounds to other units nearby. Then with that, you could stack up even more mortal wounds if you really wanted to. It gives your rune priest capability of doing a lot of area of effect damage, kind of.
So the last one, this is my first time like going through these.
Right, this one's brand new. This one is amazing.
Pelt of the Beowulf. Each time a melee attack is made against the bearer, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll and wound roll.
That's wild, right?
What?
Like, that's super wild.
Like, for me, that's the immediate where I'm like, oh, that one.
Yeah, like, so unfortunately, there's always something like that. The Pelt of the Beowulf right away screams to me, yeah, 100%, I would take that every time. If you want something defensive. And, you know, you'll notice, you got the Armor of Rust, which is it's a great secondary pick for something defensive. But the Pelt of the Beowulf, hard to pass up, especially when you're T5 on a Thunderwolf. So you're already that much harder to wound, right? So anything strength 4 hitting you wounds you on 6s.
That's just the capability to be very aggressive with the character and charge into stuff.
And right,
I'm not going to take any damage.
Right, knights. You know, a knight is wounding you on 3s. Anything like that's still something pretty risky.
If he's using his big attack, yeah.
Big attack. Well, if he's
I guess if he's stomping still.
No, I'm T5.
Well,
you put
T5.
on the T5 guy. So if you're stomping on him, you're only wounding him on 4s. The pelt's really, really good. Now, if you're looking for something aggressive, and if you haven't been perusing the internets, the special issue Wargear has a lot of options for you there, and I'll explain why when you pair it up with a couple things. A lot of these are generic that every chapter supplement has access to. Adamantine Mantle, 5-up to ignore wounds. Sure. Everyone's got that one. Artificer Armor, 2-up armor save, 5-up invulnerable save. You could if you really wanted to, but if you're going to take that, you might as well take the Armor of Rust, because this is literally better in every way, shape, and form.
Yep.
But you could give one of your pack leaders. Oh no, you can't even give them Artificer Armor. You can only give them the other options. So you would never take Artificer Armor as a Space Wolf.
Well, unless you're doing it for some narrative.
Something narratively, 100%. Yeah. You can do the Rastcrafted weapon.
Yeah,
right?
Rastcrafted weapon.
That's the same. Everyone's got that one.
And then digital weapon, 1 additional attack.
That does more than a hit.
Wound,
Yeah. So those are all the same. Morkai Teeth Bolts. These are. We've had these before. You do a single shot. It never does any damage, but if you hit, you mark the target, and any other attack against that unit, you get to reroll wound rolls of 1, and that lasts for until your next turn, I believe. So, and then until the end of until the end of your turn, each time an attack is made against a unit that is marked by Morkai, reroll a wound roll of 1.
Cool.
So you see a knight, you're like, okay, bam, Teeth of Morkai shot, and your whole army gets to reroll wound rolls of 1 against them now. It's cool. It's nice. There's like pack tactic synergies there. I kind of like that kind of idea. It's whatever. The wolf.
I don't see you really going with that. Wolf-tail Talisman.
Yeah.
Psychic phase. Each time a model in the bearer's unit would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. Roll a d6 on a 4. The wound is not lost.
Right. So this one got reworked. This did come out in Psychic Awakening, and what that used to be is an 18-inch aura of -2 to cast psychic powers. It was like real good.
Yeah.
Now it's just that, which is okay, sure, but I'd rather have the Belt of Beowulf, I think.
Yep. Yep.
So this is the one I want to talk about. Space Wolves have frost weapons back, and boy howdy are they good. Okay, so it's like a strictly better master-crafted weapon, but it only works on certain weapons. So when you give this model a relic, you select one of the following weapons that model is equipped with: Lightning Claws, one or a pair of, Master-crafted Power Axe, Master-crafted Power Sword, Power Axe, or Power Sword. So it's the standard frost weapons: Frost Claw, Frost Sword, Frost Axe. You can't have a Frost Fist, right? But it'd be cool if you could, but you can't.
Frost Hammer.
Frost Hammer, yeah, none of that stuff. So you add 1 to its strength and its damage characteristic of that weapon. If it has 2 Lightning Claws, you improve the characteristics of both weapons. That weapon is considered to be a chapter relic, or weapons if it's a pair of Lightning Claws. So let me put this into perspective here. You have Strength +3 Frost Axe that is damage 2. That's pretty good. Strength +2 Frost Sword that is damage 2, AP3 is the AP2 on the Frost Axe. The Frost Claws are what you're looking for here.
Yep.
So Lightning Claws give you 2 additional attacks now if you have 2 of them. Their Strength User, if you make them a Frost weapon, they're Strength +1. So you're Strength 5. And don't forget, you get to reroll all wound rolls with these guys. So the Seeking a Saga that we're missing for Space Wolves, they're just built into your Frost Claws now. They're 2 damage each at AP2.
Which is crazy damage you can do.
So yeah, when you think about that, if you have, say you take the Wolfkin, this is my ideal build on a Space Wolf Wolflord right now. Off the top of my head, you put him on a Thunder Wolf so he can advance and charge, and you get to consolidate an extra inch. You give him Saga of the Wolfkin, so he always gets D3 extra attacks, so he's already got 7 attacks for Shock Assault, up to 7 attacks with Shock Assault, and then you pair these claws on him, he goes up to 9 attacks. With these bad boys. He goes in, he doesn't reroll hit rolls anymore, but he rerolls all his wound rolls at 2 damage each. Pretty much, it's a faster budget Ragnar.
Yep, that works.
Yep. And that gets to reroll wound rolls. Doesn't have as high AP, but he will be AP3 in the Assault Doctrine.
Yep.
I think that is an excellent build on any Wolflord. And then you could make him a Warrior of Legend as well and give him another Warlord trait, which we forgot, maybe Beast Slayer, so he gets an even more and another extra attack, and he gets +1 to wound vehicles and monsters, right? So he gets,
he's just gonna smash through stuff.
Like that guy is going to So if you give him the Wolfkin, spend a command point to give him Beast Slayer, give him a couple Frost Claws, he is going to mess up vehicles. Like let's put in, like he goes up to a Knight. I like to use Knights as an example.
Sure.
You're AP3 in the Assault Doctrine. You have 10 attacks against a Knight with that pairing. You wound it on 4s because you get +1 to wound it in your Strength 5, and you reroll all wound rolls and they're 2 damage each.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a 6-up save.
You get a 6-up armor save against it, so you're doing like 18 damage or something like ridiculous to a Knight, or like maybe around that. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I really like it. And then the last one is new as well.
So Runic Weapon, Librarian model only. Add 1 to deny the Witch test taken for the bear. Cool. When you give a model this relic, select one of the following weapons that model is equipped with: the Force Axe, Force Stave, or Force Sword. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of that weapon, and it's considered a chapter relic.
Yeah, that's kind of cool for librarians. But I mean, you could. Oh no, that's right. They can't take librarians have to take force weapons, so you can't give them a frost weapon. But a runic weapon is a cool new addition. I see. That's why I've always liked about Space Wolves. Sorry, runic armor, frost weapons, runic weapons, all this weird talismans and stuff like that. Like really out of the box for Space Marine stuff. And I like this. It's pretty much a frost weapon, except is it only +1 strength?
It's only +1 strength. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You don't get the extra damage.
But you get +1. You're denied the witch test. That's what it is.
Right.
That's instead. You get that instead. Oh, it's kind of cool. Can they? Do Rune Priest take Psychic Hoods? Yeah, they do. Yeah, the Rune Priest have Psychic Hoods. So you get +2 to deny the Witch tests. And those do stack, by the way. The only ones that don't stack are hit rolls and wound rolls.
Yeah.
For like that stuff. So you get +2 to deny the Witch test with for your Rune Priest.
It's kind of cool, I guess. I don't
within 12 inches.
Compared to some of the other stuff, I don't see people necessarily going with that. But
100%. But you could have like a really cool You could have like some sort of weird legendary rune priest in your game, I guess, and he could have this cool runic weapon.
Could, especially I guess if your meta is really psyker heavy, you'd
Yeah.
be like, no.
Yeah,
just
you could be
no.
you could be this super anti-psyker rune priest, and you could have
Okay, yeah.
a couple cool warlord traits on him if you wanted to. I like it. I dig it. I am pretty pleased with these relics and special issue war gear. Excuse me while I reach over here. I'm curious actually to see what we lost. If we lost too much. Lost Weirdbane, didn't care much about, lost Storm Song, didn't care about that. Worm Splitter's gone. And Talisman of Storms is, it's got reworked to the Storm's Eye instead. So yeah, we didn't really lose too much from this printout here, so not a big deal there at all. I'm generally happy with all of this good stuff here. And I know I mentioned earlier that I was going to go over the Warlord Traits and good pairing ones, but I'll be honest, the one that stuck out the most to me was like Wolfkin and Beastslayer. You get plus D3 attacks, and you get +1 attack and +1 wound vehicles and monsters.
Right.
That's really good. And they're all like there's a lot of cool things you combined here as well. The Warlord Traits are awesome. The Warlord Traits are solid. The Relics and Special Issue War Gear are solid. What I mean by that is Pelt of the Beowulf is solid. It's like so good. The problem is like, what do you go like? It's up to you. Do you go for the more defensive build on your Wolflord and give him a Thunderhammer and a Storm Shield on a Thunderwolf Cavalry with the Pelt of the Beowulf, or do you go pair of Frost Claws on him instead? What would you do?
I'd go with the Pelt. I'm always the more defensive of my characters. Have you seen I run my Shield Captain? Like,
it's true, and I typically am that kind of player as well. I don't like to lose models, but when it comes to Space Wolves, I'm all out aggression. I love that.
Okay, so
yeah.
the idea is, I think, putting all the defensive buffs, like, he's killing enough on his own, so put the defensive buffs so you're comfortable being super aggressive with him.
It's true, yeah.
And even if he's not 100% wiping everything out, he's killing mostly everything, but also tying things up you need him to tie up.
Right.
He's being that aggressive nuisance instead of the one doing all the lifting to kill stuff.
It's true, yeah. If you wanted a good defensive build, I think I agree. I do like the Pelt of the Beowulf more. I've seen that there was some discussions online, and the Pelt of the Beowulf was never mentioned, so I assume it was never really leaked or whatever from those people online. So no one knows the Pelt of the Beowulf. That's really good. I think I also would go for the Thunderwolf Storm Shield, probably Thunderhammer build, even though it's lesser AP, but we'd get our AP back.
Yep.
And I would put the Pelt on him, and I would probably give him probably Saga the Bear and Wolfkin for a command point. So he has that. You can never reroll damage rolls against him. You can never reroll wound rolls against him, and he has a 6/2 ignore damage. It's kind of funny. I don't know. I think it's kind of like, you know what? That 6/2 ignore damage could be a life change. Could be worth it. I don't know. I might just still go Wolfkin and Beastslayer though. I think I would almost always spend a command point on Beastslayer Wolfkin. That is just such a nice combo.
Well, like Warrior Born's really nice too.
Oh, sorry, Warrior Born's really good too, right? Like always fight first. Yeah.
It's the always fight. That's that kind of one where just being like extra careful to not get him heroically intervening into you.
Yeah, it's
You know
true.
what I mean?
You're right.
To pop the strat to heroically, like for me, the ideal would be a killy enough guy with all these defensive buffs and the utility of like I'm in the middle. I'm charging stuff. Just
Right.
I'm not going to kill. I'm not going to kill it, but it ain't going to kill me.
Right.
Like I'm going to tie up this big killy unit that you need doing other stuff, and I'm in the middle of the board. So if you fall back, you better fall back pretty far and not get close to me because I'm going to intervene 6 into you.
You might as well be more than 6 away from me, right?
Yeah, that would be my ideal build for him.
I think I agree completely. Actually, I would go
Which
that
is weird,
kind of build.
We're not usually the same mindset.
Well, I do like that grindy kind of defensive build, though a part of me always wants to go with the overall, like Ragnar. No, there's nothing defensive about Ragnar at all. He's got 4 up invuln save, 6 moves.
His defense is the fact that he's going to kill anything he goes.
Exactly, he's going to kill whatever he touches. But I've had him just die so easily, whereas this guy, on the other hand, this guy is wildly good. I am very...
He's got the speed, though, too, on the Thunderwolf.
Because he can advance and charge on that Thunderwolf. I am very excited to be playing this. They say Smash Captains are a way of the past, but like this guy seems like an awesome addition. I would definitely put him out front with Thunderwolf Cavalry any day of the week. And like he could act as an agent on his own, too, if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to. Well, we'll talk about the Psychic powers next. Okay, Tempestus Discipline, it's back. You either, for your Psyker, your Rune Priest, you either choose to take from the Librarian Discipline in the Space Wolf book, or the Obscure Discipline, or this one. You can't mix and match. You can't take a power from there, You'd have to take all from one or the other. And then we have kind of a lot of the similar looking powers here, but they are all different in their own way, shape, or form. The first one is Living Lightning. They're labeled now based on what they are, and I believe this is due to Crusade, which I haven't really gotten my hands into yet, but I'm very excited to when that comes around. Living Lightning, Witchfire, cast on a 6. same as was before. The nearest enemy unit within 18 suffers D3 mortal wounds. That's the same, but where it got reworked was before, if that unit was destroyed by this, the next nearest would then take D3 mortal wounds, and then if they were killed, it could infinitely chain in a perfect world. But in this case, it realized that doesn't actually work that well. So now you roll 1d6 on a 2 to 4. The closest other enemy unit within 6 inches of and visible to that unit suffers 1 mortal wound on a 5, or on a 5 up, it takes D3 mortal wounds. So your chances are you're going to do D3 mortal wounds to one unit, and then 1 mortal wound to another, maybe D3. There could be some really cool situations where that one unit is out of your line of sight and it's got 1 wound left on an objective, and this guy is visible to it, and you're like, living lightning, zap, mortal wound, got him on a 2-up.
It'd be pretty funny if it happened.
But it's not going to likely happen, but that could happen, and I'm a big fan of that possibility. I've always liked that psychic power.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's cool.
It's a different smite.
It's cool.
It's just a different smite,
which is nice.
Yeah.
We got Murderous Hurricane up next. This is a malediction. Warp charge value is 6. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 of this psyker at the start of your next psychic phase. If that unit is not wholly on or within a terrain feature, that unit cannot fire Overwatch. In the fight phase, that unit is not eligible to fight until after all eligible Space Wolves units from your army have done so.
Right. So it's one of those. Because it uses the word eligible, I like that a lot. That means you cannot counteroffensive. So you can charge that safely.
Right.
And they cannot use counteroffensive on them. But they can't be in a terrain feature. Oh, wait, no, yeah. So you literally summon a hurricane on them, and they're too distracted to really function properly, I suppose.
Unless you're cozy enough.
Unless you're cozy, yeah. So is it that unit cannot fire? Is not. So I think only the first bullet only really matters for the terrain one, or yeah, because the second one I think happens no matter what.
It's a separate bullet, yeah.
Yeah, so the second one happens no matter what. They're not eligible to fight until after all eligible Space Wolf units from your army have done so. Because counteroffensive does say pick an eligible unit to fight. Yeah. And you may fight with them right now. So this makes them not eligible until all other eligible ones have already fought. That is surprisingly good, because there's a lot of cases where you charge two things like, crap, which one do I fight? Because my opponent's just going to counteroffensive the other one, and I can't afford that, so I'm only going to charge one thing. But at least with this Murderous Hurricane, charge both things, fight here first, and then fight there, and they can't do anything about it. Quite a good combo there, a lot of use there, but again, it might not be as big as I think it is. Tempest Wrath is a malediction, cast on a 6, pick an enemy within 24 until the start of your next psychic phase. They are -1 to all hit rolls. That is the exact same as it was before. I liked it. It was good before. Still good now.
Nice, simple, clean.
Yeah.
Number 4, we got Instincts Awoken. This is a blessing. Warp charge value is 6. If manifested, select one friendly Space Wolf unit within 18 of the psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, the Assault Doctrine is considered to be active for that attack instead of the currently active Doctrine. If the Assault Doctrine is already active for your army, then an unmodified wound roll of 6 improve the armor pen characteristic of the attack by 1.
Yep.
This is cumulative with the bonus from the Assault Doctrine.
Which is typically you're not allowed to stack on those APs unless it says otherwise. In this case, it does. That's kind of nice. You know, again, you're finding yourself in combat a little bit earlier than your doctrines will allow. Well, you know what I mean. And then in this case, okay, well, that's Blood Claws are going to charge into combat this turn. It's turn 2. Like, my opponent got really close. I'm going to disembark from my Rhino. I am going to cast Instincts Awoken on them, charge them into combat, and probably mess up my opponent with them. Yeah. I do like that Psychic Power quite a bit. I am a big fan of that Psychic Power, only because I like the Space Wolf Assault Doctrine so much, especially with the new Astartes Chainswords. AP2, AP3 on Astartes Chainswords on 6 to wound. Wild. Wild. We have Stormcaller next. It is a warp charge value of 6. Used to be 8, so that's nice. If manifested until the start of your next psychic phase, while a unit is within 6 inches of the psyker, they gain light cover, and that works on vehicles too. So you could have a psyker walking up with dreadnoughts with storm shields, and they can have a 2-up save and a 4-up invulnerable save while in light cover. It's 6 to cast too. It used to be 8. It's really nice. I'm a big fan of Stormcaller now. It got a nice buff. So it pretty much works the exact same way as it did before, except it's just too easier to cast. Yeah. So why not, right? I like it.
Do you see yourself taking that over the other ones? That the go-to for you? You gonna take a psyker just for that light cover?
I feel like I would take a Rune Priest every game now, and I just have no idea what I'd give him. Because like before, I would take Tempest Wrath and Living Lightning. I'd never take Stormcaller because it's too hard to pull off.
Yeah.
And Jaws of the World Wolf before was a little too restrictive. Like it only worked against slow armies, and you're not always fighting a slow army. But I would take it against like Nurgle or Necrons. But I never really fought against them because those are literally the armies I played here. So no one else really plays Nurgle or Necron. So I had no reason to take Jaws of the World Wolf. Murderous Hurricane. So Murderous Hurricane, Instincts Awoken are both new. So I haven't had any chance to try them out yet, but I like both of them quite a bit.
Okay, well, let's go over the last one.
Yeah.
Then. We'll talk about. I thought that was going to be a simple yes or no.
No, it's never. It's literally never a simple yes or no with me.
I got tricked. Okay, so number 6, Jaws of the World Wolf. I don't like saying that.
Jaws of the World Wolf.
So we're just gonna.
Jaws. I just can't say wolf properly is my thing.
Yeah.
Wolf. It's like a dog. I make it like dogs. Wolf, wolf. That's how. Wolf is the pronunciation, but I cannot do that. Apparently.
Witchfire. So warp charge value is 7. Manifest and select one enemy unit within 18 of and visible to the Psyker. Roll 1d6 for each model in that unit, adding 1 to the result if the result of the psychic test was 9 or more. For each 6 up, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound.
Yeah. That's great against a horde. Sure. Here's your obligatory horde psychic power. So what this used to, this got completely reworked because what this used to do is you would target an enemy unit, you'd roll 2d6, subtract their movement, and that's how many mortal wounds they took.
Yeah, that sounds awful. No, that's complicated. This is nice and clean.
This is nice and clean. How many models you got there? 20? All right, 20 days span. Yep. You took 3 mortal wounds. Unless I roll a 9 or more, eh?
Yes.
A 9 or more for a third of the unit to take mortal wounds. That'd be kind of scary against Necrons. A warrior blob. Losing 6 warriors.
Sure.
Ish. On a 9
It's cast on a 7, though.
Cast on a 7, and then cast on a 9+ for the bonus. Okay, out of all of these, that's my least favorite one.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, but I could be big, right? Like, when do you determine your psychic powers? I can't remember when you before the battle generate psychic powers. It's not when you it's not when you muster your army, though. I don't believe. I think you can pick them after seeing your opponent's army. So yeah, there's that.
I don't use Psychers.
Yeah, so Josh does not use Psychers often or at all, I guess I should say.
Every once in a while for the Night Lords. He doesn't count.
Yeah, that guy doesn't count. So, like, what are your 2 favorite picks here?
I like the Murderous Hurricane for what it does.
Yeah, I also like that, too. It's very good. It's pretty much, yeah, it's just really good. Tempest Wrath. Like, I don't know. They're, I like all of them. The problem, you know what? You can just bring 2 Rune Priests.
No.
You just bring 2 Rune Priests and you're good to go.
No, because then you're, I wish I had him over there. I wanted that.
Yeah, 100% that.
No, you take 1. Probably Hurricane and Instincts.
You do I like the Instincts a lot as well. Like, so you take the 2 brand new ones, eh?
Yep,
Yeah.
Because I think I'd want him up the board with guys. And
he'd be leading from the front, yeah. And then if the Assault Doctrine's already active, you get more AP. It's just all around. It is just an all around good psychic power. And then as a follow up for the Armor of Rust, it also works the same way. It makes them not eligible, so they cannot use counteroffensive to get around that. And that's it for the Tempestus discipline. I've taken Living Lightning and Smite just to make it so like I smite a Living Lightning. I do like 2d6 more, 2d3 mortal wounds. That's cool. I think you get more utility out of the other 2 though, like for sure. Yeah, let's talk about these chapter approved rules, which are your 4 secondary objectives. You can pick one of them to replace the standard ones.
All right, last but not least here, we're going to look at the chapter approved rules.
Yeah, the idea here is that you expect to see this with all of your other books. Now, the weird thing is, this supplement gets them. The Blood Angels will probably get them and all that. But, like, what about the poor Iron Hands and the Ultramarines and the Blood, not Blood Angels, I literally just mentioned that they're going to get them.
Oh, they're going to get their own books, I assume.
Yeah, I guess they'll get reprinted, but when? I ask?
Not soon. Not within the next couple of months, it seems.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess not. Oh, well, I guess they just have to take from the standard book for their chapter approved rules for now. And they're not bad. Whatever. Oh, they're whatever. The first one is Purge the Enemy. It's called Glory Kills. It's from the Purge the Enemy category of secondary objectives. The sagas of the Space Wolves are replete with legendary deeds of heroic battle brothers slaying dark conquerors and gutting vile monstrosities, and every living warrior seeks to do likewise. So, you score victory points as follows if you choose this one. You get 2 victory points if any character units were destroyed by a Space Wolf unit from your army during this battle round. If no character units were destroyed, but they did suffer 3 or more wounds, you get 1 victory point instead.
No, okay, suffered as the result of attacks made by Space Wolves units from the army.
Right. I guess, yeah.
Stuff blown up and things like that.
That doesn't count. You're right. Yeah, Josh is right. So mortal wounds, so like smites and living lightning and explosions do not count towards that. So that's very important to point out. It is only shooting attacks and melee attacks, or anything that is an attack. And then the other one is the same, but for monsters instead. So if you kill a monster, you get 3 victory points. Or this was actually 3 victory points if you kill monsters. Or 1 if it suffers 3 or more wounds as a result of attacks made by Space Wolf units. I wonder why it's 3 for monsters and 2 for characters.
Yeah, monsters are bigger.
Yeah, but there's like, like a Carnifex is pretty easy to kill. You get 3
He's
victory.
still a monster. He's big and impressive.
I guess so. And it's any as well. It doesn't stack. It's not like if you kill 3 monsters, you get 9 victory points. You just get 3 a turn. You have to kind of like lead into it. You're trying to toy with them a little bit. You got 8 Carnifexes. I'll make sure to kill 1 every turn to get my max on my points. If I could kill all of them in one go, I'm going to make sure I don't do that.
Well, you got to spread it out, though. If there's 8, then you got 5 rounds to kill them. So
It's
like,
true. Exactly.
There's
a couple rounds where you kill 2.
You could kill 4 in one round, and then 1 of each of the rest.
That's true. Yeah, I guess you would want to just overwhelmingly kill them all in the first go. And it also stipulates that a character monster does not count towards both of them. You have to say if it's going to be a character or a monster. You're going to say it's a monster because it's just better. If you kill a character monster, you say, I'm going to treat that as a monster for the purpose of glory kills.
More points.
Yeah, for 1 more point.
Okay, cool. I like it. Next up, we got Heroic Challenge, which is also a Purge the Enemy.
I like this one.
The greatest champions among the Sons of Rust must take the fight to the enemy, leading by example to inspire their warriors by upholding the honor of their chapter. At the start of the first command phase, you must select 1 Space Wolf's character model from your army to issue the challenge, and your opponent must select 1 character model from their army to accept the challenge. If either player does not have a character model, they must instead select their Warlord.
Which was whatever model is your Warlord at the time.
So score 5 victory points at the end of the battle for each of the following conditions that have been achieved. 1, the model that accepted the challenge was destroyed.
It's destroyed by any means. You get 5 victory points for that.
Second one is that the model that accepted the challenge was destroyed as the result of a melee attack. Third condition, the model that accepted the challenge was destroyed as the result of a melee attack made by the model that issued the challenge.
So it's, for no matter what, your opponent declares one of their characters, and if they die, you get 5 victory points for this. That's actually not bad. Chances are that character probably will die, or it'll at least make your opponent second guess every move they make with that character. But if they get beaten up in close combat by any unit, that's 10 victory points. And if the big boy himself who issues the challenge takes him out, that's max victory points. I love it. Absolutely.
Obviously, you're going to be careful which one you pick, but I'm just imagining you doing it against the Scions.
Right.
And the Master of the Fleet in the back's like, good luck.
Yeah, good luck, right? There's certain armies you wouldn't do that against.
Now, would you be a big old coward and in that circumstance where I'm going to pick something lame like that, go like, I'm not going to pick the secondary?
I would.
Or do you? Yeah.
I'm going to definitely take Heroic Challenge a lot for the fun of it, because whatever. If I don't get it, I don't get it, because it's kind of cool. But there might be some situations where I don't do that. Like Custodian Shield Captain is pretty hard to take out. That might be a.
You really?
I would maybe do it. I would do it at first to try it out to see how.
A real Space Wolves player would take that challenge.
This is why I would do it. But we'd see, or maybe it's like Gilliman or something wild. And it's just like really hard to take out Gilliman. Well, I haven't seen it on the table. No one plays Ultramarines. I gotta play Ultramarines.
Yeah, see, I'm just thinking about it. Like, obviously they're not going to do it, but I'm just imagining the hilariousness of like, there's also the opposite where like if I kill you, I kill the guy who issued the challenge.
Embarrassing. That'd be crazy embarrassing.
Right? Like, that'd be neat. They could have went crazy on the victory points.
Right. We got no mercy, no respite. This is from that category. It's a mighty saga. Every warrior of Fenris is a hero, but none are looked to as much as the Lord leading the hunt. The commanders of the Space Wolves are both cunning strategists and savage combatants of exceptional skill, and prove it in every battle they fight. If you select this objective, you score 2 victory points at the end of each battle round for each of the following achieved by your Space Wolf Warlords for a maximum of 5 points a battle round. Has to be your Warlord that does it. So this kind of replaces Oath of Moment from the Space Marine book, which is very similar, but any of your units can do it. If your Warlord loses any wounds, if an enemy monster or vehicle loses any wounds as a result of a melee attack made by this Warlord, he gets 2 victory points. If If it is destroyed as a result of an attack, you get 2 victory points. If an enemy character is destroyed, you get 2 victory points. 5 or more models were destroyed as a result of an attack made by this warlord, or at the start of your command phase, this warlord is within range of an objective marker that is wholly within your opponent's deployment zone.
So the first 3 were only melee attacks, but the 5 or more models destroyed
Could be shooting.
Could be shooting.
Yep. So I mean, it is not too, like if you're getting your warlord stuck in combat, a lot of those do stack. So if you do 3 damage to a monster or vehicle and then you proceed to kill it, that is 4 victory points. If you do that while near an objective in your opponent's deployment zone, there's your 5 victory points right there. There's a lot of weird, super obscure, specific things for your warlord to do. I like it. That has to be at the start of your command phase, though, so that one's actually kind of hard to pull out. That one actually wouldn't stack that well. Your warlord would have to kill 5 or more models and then also kill a vehicle or monster by doing 3 wounds to it to get 5 victory points as well.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be getting 5 every...
No, this one's super hard to get 5 every turn on.
You're not going to try to aim to get 5 every
No, you might get like
turn.
2 or 4.
2 or 4 is decent,
yeah,
you know.
But you could get 5. 2 or 4. The 2 or 4 is easier. Your warlord, who's got Beast Slayer and Wolfkin, is probably going to delete a vehicle or a monster a turn. So you'll probably get 4 points a turn for that one, as long as you can connect to a vehicle or a monster every turn, if that's what he's kind of going for.
All right, and last we have, under the same category here, Warrior Pride. This is a progressive. No one pack will long lead the hunt alone. For fierce pride ensures the Space Wolves compete for glory and the occasional wager. 3 victory points at the end of your turn if 2 or more Space Wolves units from your army are within engagement range of any enemy units or have completed a charge move this turn.
That's super easy to pull off.
Yep.
You just charge with 2 guys a turn and you get 3 victory points. Warrior Pride. Now I find it weird that Space Wolves get 4 of these and the Necrons only got 3. A little sad about that, but maybe the Necrons do have 4. I'm just not remembering them well. Anyways, Warrior Pride. It's out of all of this, it's the, I don't know. Is Heroic Challenge easy? Not in all cases, but in some it would be. Warrior Pride is always going to be easy to do, though. And again, you can only take 1 of these 4. You can't take,
Right, you can't take multiples of them.
So you have to take 2. You know, 1 from the mission, maybe 1 from here, and 1 from the list of secondaries. But you can only take 1 of these. I don't know. I like all of them. I would. So as opposed to the Necron one, where I don't really like all of them, or the Space Wolf one, where I only really like both at the moment, I do like all of these separately. I could see myself trying to do all of these separately.
At one point or another.
At one point.
So they're all contenders to be picked.
Right. Maybe not glory kills as, that one's not bad. That one doesn't have any cap on it, so you could get that one pretty easily too. I don't know. I like them all. I'm down for all of these, man. Any favorite one? I think Warrior Pride's probably the easiest one. But you have to do it every turn to get max points. You only get 3 points a turn, so you'd have to charge with 2 units in the first battle round, which is the hardest part.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I were to be playing Space Wolves, probably Heroic Challenge would fit the way I'd want to play them. But it's not my play style. It's not my thing.
I love it. I think that's my favorite one by far. I love it so much. Purge the Enemy, which is, I believe, Bring It Down and all of that stuff. Yeah. So, yeah. Is this easier to do than Bring It Down? 2 points, 3 points? It's kind of easier to, yeah, like Glory Kills is a little bit easier than Bring It Down because it does have that fail safe if you don't kill any vehicles in a turn, but you
can still get a couple points.
You can still get a couple points. So yeah, I like Glory Kills. That's a better Bring It Down. Heroic Challenge is hilarious if they don't have any vehicles or monsters. So you typically, if they have a lot of vehicles or monsters, you take Bring It Down. In this case, I would take Glory Kills. I would take Glory Kills. If they don't have any vehicles or monsters, I'd probably take Heroic Challenge. Honestly, that's probably the way I'd go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for No Mercy, No Respite, I probably wouldn't take a Mighty Saga, though it is kind of cool. Warrior Pride's also kind of easy to pull off, but I think I'd go for Glory Kills or Heroic Challenge.
Warrior Pride might be tough to max out on fully, but like you're going to get a good chunk of points out of it.
Yeah, you could probably get 12 victory points.
Yeah, you can get an easy, I'd say an easy 12.
Yeah.
If not 9, which is close enough to, yeah, so I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
That's solid.
I agree, 100% on that. And then that's it for those chapter approved rules. It would then go under the Crusade rules. There's a lot there. I'm not going to cover all of that. We will go on to the data sheets though. And guys, if you want an in-depth review of the data sheets that were updated, and a lot of them did get updated, so I recommend you go check out the Index Space Wolves Astartes review where I talk about all of them. Just skip to the video until I get to the data sheets part because these didn't really change that much in this book. Not too much of a surprise. There are a couple of examples. I'll give you those in a moment. But like Berserker Charge, the data sheet rule is still the same where they get to, if they have the Hunter's Unleashed chapter tactic, they get +1 to their attack characteristic in the turn in which they charge, not including Wolfguard units. You have Headstrong, which means a unit that has Headstrong, any Bloodclaw unit, has to charge the nearest eligible unit, if it can, unless it has a Wolfguard in the unit, which, calms them down. And then Swift Hunters is the new rule that went on anything that is Thunderwolf, has a Thunderwolf, or is like a small, like a Fenrisian wolf or a Cyber Wolf, which allows them to advance and charge, and they get to consolidate and pile in an additional inch, which is like a nice little secondary on it. I had a hard time remembering that though, and that will be big, but you just got to remember it. It's a new rule, so it's a little bit harder to remember the new rules. As an example, for Logan Grimnar had a lot of changes. Like his weapon is very different now. I'll go over this one. He has one-handed or two-handed. If he fights two-handed, it's no longer -1 to hit. It's -3 damage. It's a thunder hammer. It's an old thunder hammer that isn't -1 to hit. And if you fight with a one-handed Axe of Morkai, you get to make 2 attacks for every 1 at -3 strength 6. Very good weapon. The Axe of Morkai is an amazing weapon. And then, he got updated to have the Chapter Master rule, which is in line with all the other Chapter Masters. And then he didn't have any other rules. He had the Belt of Rust, he had the Rites of Battle, and Teleport Strike. And then he was on, Storm Rider, which is the same thing, except he gained Swift Hunters on Storm Rider, so Logan can advance and charge. So Logan can, lead a bunch of Thunderwolf cavalry in combat as well, but he's got a big base. I mean, that's maybe a downside, I'm not too sure. But in this book, he actually got an additional rule, which is the High King of Fenris. If he's your Warlord, he is always treated as having completed the deed associated with his Warlord trait, which is the Aura of Majesty, the increased range on his auras, and automatically passing morale checks nearby. So when the High King is nearby, your Space Wolves automatically pass morale checks, which is nice to have. He doesn't have that in this index here. So I did comb through this briefly, but not as much as I did on the initial look through. So it was a little bit harder to find discrepancies and things that might have changed. And like Ariak's Anvil Shield is like a Storm Shield that does give a 3-up invulnerable save, as opposed to what it used to be a 3-up invulnerable save before and reduce the damage you took by 1. Now it's just a 3-up invulnerable save, where Storm Shields were 4-ups nowadays. Ragnar, things got changed to core. A lot of the data sheets are the same, so a little bit of disappointments on the Wolfen kind of staying the same, the Longfang staying the same. They lost their precision rule, where at the beginning of the shooting phase, you'd pick a unit, and your Longfangs would get to reroll hit rolls of 1 against that unit, making Plasma Cannons kind of safe to use. But I think I'm going to veer away from Plasma Cannons. I think I'm going to go more into 100% going to go into multi-meltas with Cunning of the Wolf and maybe Last Cannons. I'd probably just go with multi-meltas and maybe heavy bolters even. I'm not too sure on that, but they stay the same.
Do we want to touch base on the Hounds of Morkai?
Oh, you're right, 100%. I can't believe I forgot about them. The Hounds of Morkai are a brand new Reaver-specific unit available to the Space Wolves. Thank you for catching that. I would have felt bad if I forgot about them. So these are kind of that anti-warp nasty user thing I was talking about for Space Wolves. They've always hated the Psyker, the filthy Psyker, the Maleficarum. Anyone who's a Psyker dabbles in chaos in one way or another, and they don't trust that. Now,
except for their Psykers.
Yeah, they're rune priests, right? They dabble in the weird, and they trust in the weird, and all that.
I'm pretty sure it says Psyker.
I'm pretty sure it says Psyker on the keyword there. It's true, it does. They have their talismans. Their powers come from Fenris. Not the warp, totally. The Hounds of Morkai, though, they are Reavers. Their profile is that of a Reaver. Nothing too crazy there. Movement 6, 3 to hit, 3's weapon scope of the skill, 4 strength, 4 toughness, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 3-up save, and then a 3rd attack and a higher leadership on the pack leader. What they come with, though, they're locked in a special issue bull pistols, combat knife, grapnel launcher, frag, and crack grenades. So grapnel launchers give them the outflank ability, and when they make a normal move, advance, or fall back, they ignore vertical distance. So they kind of have a pseudo fly. You should be familiar with grapnel launchers. A combat knife is one extra. It's like a chainsword without AP, unfortunately. And then they have hunters. They have a couple rules that are specific to them for being Space Wolves. You know what? I am very happy to see Space Wolves get a unique Primaris unit, because that was always my big draw for Space Wolves. They're weird, out of order picks.
I'm sure that every Space Wolf player has been writing in their diaries at home, I wish we get a unique Primaris unit.
Yeah.
And it's Reavers.
You know what? These guys aren't bad.
I'm not saying they're bad. It's just
they're Reavers. There's that. They have the Phobos keyword. That could be, that's something to note for. But Reavers are not really known for being good. Oh, they also don't have the shock grenade keyword either. So they don't get access to the shock grenade stratagem that normal Reavers do. But they do have the Phobos keyword, so they get that. Instead of the shock grenade stuff, they get Hunters Beyond Death. Models in this unit ignore the Lookout Sir rule if the target is a Psyker. In addition, each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy Psyker, +1 to its hit roll and +1 to the damage characteristic. Okay, so they're pistol. All right, they're pistol. Let's talk about this. It's pistol 1, range 12, strength 4, AP 2, 1 damage. Against a Psyker, they hit on 2s, it's AP 2, 2 damage.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad against like a little crappy whatever Psyker. Maybe it's actually not even bad against bigger Psykers like Mortarion. If you sneak a few damage through,
Every little bit, yeah.
Every like a Demon Prince even too. And when they get their combat knives in there, they hit on technically 2s already, but because they're Space Wolves, they get +1 to hit in close combat the first round, and they are 2 damage each. And they have 4 attacks, or 3 attacks. It's okay. They also have runic totems as another rule. This unit can only be selected as the target of an enemy psychic power if it is the closest enemy unit to the model manifesting the psychic power. In addition, each time this unit would lose a wound in the psychic phase, on a 4-up, that wound is not lost. They have ways to protect against smite, and they can only be targeted if they're the nearest. And then the last ability is an aura called Morkai's Howl. While an enemy Psyker unit is within 18 inches of this unit, -1 to psychic test taken for it. While that psychic unit is within 6, an additional -1, so -2. And heck, if you have that cool Rune Priest nearby, you could get up to -4 to psychic powers if you really wanted to skew into that.
Now, do me a favor, if you could, grab that Space Marine book. What's a regular Reaver worth?
Ooh, good question. Let's see. It should say right here, and if I recall, they are elites because they're good. We got Reavers at 18 points per model. So 20 points a model with the grapnel launcher, which these guys have built in.
Okay, so you want to guess what these guys are worth?
I'm hoping 20 points a model at least.
22 points a model.
They're a little bit more expensive than Reavers, eh? Okay, well, they have the cool rules.
So it's not a ton more that you're spending. It's cool rules. So I guess the question that I would have for you as a Space Wolf player is, do you see yourself ever building these guys in a standard list? Or is it just, I know I'm playing against somebody playing a bunch of Psykers, so I'm going to skew and take these guys instead?
I would never take. I don't think I would ever add them into my. There's no way I could justify the points for these guys. 22. You said 22 a model?
They're listed as 22 points a model.
So 110 points for 5? And they don't really, okay, so you're paying a little bit more points for Reavers that don't have the shock grenade keyword. And they have bonus. They also don't have the Terror Troop keyword rule either. So Terror Troops on Reavers is -2 leadership to enemy models within 3 inches. The Hounds of Morkia do not have that.
So they're basically standard Reavers, but they're more expensive, and they've lost some rules to get some other rules that are only good against Psykers.
Yes, so they're anti-Psyker Reavers. So if you were to bring them, worst case scenario, you have worse Reavers against a non-Psyker army. Best case scenario, you have something that could do a little bit of extra damage to a Psyker and kind of mess with their capabilities. So the problem is, the idea is, when you build the list, you build something that could tangle with everything. You do not know there's going to be Psykers in your opponent's list already. Your force of Space Wolves might have a little bit of the Hounds of Morkia with them, just in case they need that support.
It'd be cool to have a little unit to maybe make use of. But yeah, if you happen to be playing an army that has a lot of psychic powers against your buddies, and just they're showing up to every game and they got 30 Hounds of Morkia,
I bring them every time, buddy.
Probably something fishy going on.
Something fishy.
He might not be building a taking all comers list. He might be tailoring against you even.
100%. Yeah, it's like, well, you have 10, you have two or three squads of the Hounds of Morkia. I always bring them, man. I bring them to every list. They're so good.
So good.
I mean, maybe, okay, for fun, I'd probably bring a unit of them.
I'm teasing a little bit. It's cool to see, but it's one of those, immediately when I start, kind of going oh, cool, what makes them unique? Are they, you're going to see them.
Right. Whereas, like, you know, you look at other Space Wolf specific, I'm trying to think of like Thunderwolf Cavalry or Wolfen. You're gonna always bring them because they might always do something cool. The Hounds of Morkai are just bad Reavers, which are already pretty not great, but they can be good. But I don't know if it's worth justifying them being good if, you know, your opponent has a Primaris Psyker. Right? Like, just one, like, nothing Psyker.
We're going to get him, though.
Right, or, like, a Sorcerer or something.
Well, especially because, I mean, like, chances are, like, these guys aren't going to make it to him.
Now, if we're talking Demon Prince, there's a little bit more value there. Because then you get the extra damage on the Demon Prince. Might be harder, easier for them to kill him.
You know what? Again, it totally makes sense right now. Modern Space Marines, loyal Space Marines need all the help they can get against chaos.
Yeah, 100%. Because I was just thinking in my head, would I love to have Hounds of Morkai, or, you know, just like a Bloodclaw squad who's also probably just going to kill them even better.
Yep, 220 points is something else, or, you know, 110 points depending on the squad size.
Yeah, I would dare say 110 points of Bloodclaws would probably just kill as well as these guys would kill that Psyker.
Ooh, that Psyker, and they'd probably be better against other stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, and I'll be okay. The Hounds of Morkai not coming out of the gate super strong.
I feel bad. I honestly, like, when I brought them up, I'm like, I think I'm going to get, like, the slam dunk on this. I'll remember to talk about their special unit. Yeah. They're going to just be better Reavers. We're bringing Reavers. This is cool. And I started asking questions, and I'm like, oh, no. What have I done?
What have I done to turn... It's cool that we have them, though. I'll say that. I'm super happy that we have a unique Primaris unit.
I might be missing something, though. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, if you're missing something, I'm missing something, too, my man. Like, there's... 22 points of Model A for... They have the same pistol, the special issue bolt pistol is the exact same on a Reaver. The combat knife's the exact same on the Reaver. They can't take the carbine. They can only take this loadout.
Do you know what would probably be really good? The carbine.
Carbine would be nice.
Now, here's the thing, is that, because what's the range of what's the stats on the carbine?
It is like 24-inch range, Assault 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, that would, if you could take those, that sounds kind of scary to snipe out Psykers.
You could harass a sniper from, 2 feet away, which is pretty nice, as opposed to, I went to the wrong page for sure. I don't even know what page the Reavers are on anymore. Elites? Oh, jeez.
I don't know if anybody...
I would flip to it. I flipped to Bull Carbine. Hey, I was right. It's Assault 2, 24-inch range. Strength 4, AP nothing, damage 1. But boy, would that be damage 2, hitting on 2s for a Hound of Morkai. What can they take? Is that... The grab shoot gives them death from above. Yeah, so Hounds of Morkai can also not do the death from above, but they can do the outflank thing. I mean, failing that, it's a unit that can outflank for 2 points more model that is maybe good against Psykers. Yikes. I don't know, man. Blood Angels got cool intercessors that are Elite's Death Company intercessors. I got Hounds of Morkai. I got the Hounds of Morkai. I like it. Whatever. I don't know. I think I like it.
Different is cool. It's just I don't know if they hit the mark on this one. That's maybe what I'll say.
I think I'll bring them in one game to bring the Hounds of Morkai, and I'm just gonna hope my opponent also has the Psyker.
So you want to bring them against me?
Yeah, Josh is maybe 1 in 10 games. Josh brings the Psyker.
It's not even that. I don't think it's that, man. Like maybe 1 in 10 games I play my Night Lords,
right?
And maybe 1 in 10 of those games I bring a Psyker.
So 1 in 100, pretty much.
I think honestly, since the beginning of 8th edition, like I've used that Psyker maybe 5 times.
And then Steve doesn't really bring that much either. The only person that really plays Psykers a lot is like Matt, and then sometimes Dave. So the Hounds of Morkai, eh? Okay, overall, the first impressions there of the book, I give it like a good, I don't know, from what it was before, 10 out of 10. I love it. 5 out of 7 even. I'd give it a 5 out of 7.
5 out of 7.
I'd give this a 5 out of 7 for sure. I'm a big fan of the Space Wolf book. I think this is awesome. I know 10 out of 10 for fun factor. Competitiveness, the Thunderwolves are good. The Wolf Lord with that belt is going to be really good. I think you could do some stuff with this book. It'll take smarter minds than myself to figure it out, but I am sure they will. I am also a big advocate of Space Wolf Dreadnoughts being absolutely ludicrous with an Iron Priest nearby because they have a 4-up invulnerable save and they reduce all damage they take by 1.
Right.
Real good. That's real good. Anyways, folks, leave some comments down below. Leave us your thoughts on what you thought about this. Unfortunately, we didn't have the time. I know you're probably looking for where's the battle report. That'll be coming out in the future.
Right.
We didn't have time to do that right now, but I'm obviously going to be playing Space Wolves coming out, and I will be trying out some cool stuff in here. If the Hounds of Morkia are painted up, I'll maybe try a unit of Hounds of Morkia out, but no promises on that. And yeah, stay tuned for lots of Space Wolf Battle Reports coming out, because I can now play them finally, in addition to lots of Necron games coming out. Again, please, any feedback down below, your thoughts on this, all that good stuff. Josh and I are going to go ahead and record the Deathwatch one now. So if you haven't checked that out, we're about to record it. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Happy wargaming.